What's happening, TikTok? Man, I swear you can't make this shit up. Up here behind me, you got the Bud Light girl from 2015 and the Bud Light girl from 2023. For you ones out there having trouble defining a woman, let me help you. That woman on the left's all a woman. The one on the right, I'm not sure what that is.
Bud Light had just denied the firing of their vice president of marketing, Alyssa Heinerscheid. Now, if you recall, this vice president was the same person that was in charge and responsible for putting Dylan Mulvaney on the Bud Light can during March Madness. Now, of course, that caused an uproar, obviously, because a lot of people are upset that the fact that a person that's pretending to be transgender, that's what I believe Dylan Mulvaney is doing. I think he's just doing this as a grift to make money. But this person gets on this can and is not a representative of the core base of customers that Bud Light basically predominantly markets to. So, of course, a lot of people got upset, therefore boycotted the product. And now the fact that Bud Light wants to show that they're denying the fact of firing this person shows that they're not trying to appease or trying to capitulate to their customers, their core customers, but capitulate to what's going on behind the scenes that a lot of these corporations are dealing with. And that's basically the HRC, Human Rights Campaign. Basically, it's a campaign that's like an advocacy for all of the LGBTQ issues and situations going on with that community. So just recently, the CEO of Bud Light came on to the CBS Morning Show, and he basically answered a few questions, and he dropped a few nuggets that I believe is going to give us a more of an opening of what's going on behind the scenes.
Anheuser-Busch, U.S. CEO, that's Brendan Wentworth, we're happy to say, joins us at the table live and in color for an exclusive interview. Number one, we're glad to have you here.
Yeah,
Many people in your position, Mr. Wentworth, would be running for the hills at this point. Because since April, you all have faced a lot of incoming. How and why did it go so off the rails? Because that certainly wasn't your intention when you did one can to one person.
It's been a challenging few weeks. And I think the conversation surrounding Bud Light has moved away from beer. And the conversation has become divisive.
Because they caused that. They basically trying to force something onto the public at large, and the public at large is pushing back. And instead of them just appeasing and capitulating and say, okay, you guys have spoken, let's go the same route we was going before that was very successful. No, they trying to figure out what's causing the division. They're causing it, but they want to put it on to us.
And Bud Light really doesn't belong there. Bud Light should be all about bringing people together. And there's been impact on the business, and I think that's publicly covered on Bud Light specifically.
Yeah, so what was your intention? Take us to the beginning. What was your intention? What were you all trying to do here? And you've done this before, these promotional campaigns.
Yeah, it was, just to be clear, it was a gift, and it was...
Wait, what he said? It was a gift? Hold on a second.
And it was one can.
What were you all trying to do here? And you've done this before, these promotional campaigns.
Yeah, it was, just to be clear, it was a gift, and it was one can.
What does he mean it was a gift? Companies don't give gifts. Companies go by the rules of capitalism normally prior to this year. And they basically go by where the money basically directs them. If the consumers are saying we don't like this particular thing, or we do like this particular thing, they continue to go in the direction that the consumers like, and they stop going in the direction that the consumers don't like. So when he says this is a gift, it tells me that he knows that this is not something that consumers predominantly will like, but it's something that he has to do, or they have to do, to appease somebody behind the scenes.
But for us, as we look to kind of the future and we look to moving forward, we have to understand the impact that it's had. And like I said, that impact has taken place. But it's the impact on our employees, the impact on our consumers, and as well, the impact on our partners. And I think one thing that I'd love to make extremely clear is that impact is my responsibility. And as the CEO, everything we do here.
The impact is your responsibility, but he's not talking about that impact. He's not talking about what exactly caused this. He doesn't want to address the quote unquote, elephant in the room. And if you notice that he's just basically saying, I'll take the darts. We're about, community, about bringing people together, but he's not addressing what caused the division.
I'm accountable for.
Given the moment we're in, this moment in America with trans issues at the top of a Republican social or conservative political agenda, Knowing what you know now, if you could go back, would you send this can to this one person again?
There's a big social conversation taking place right now, and big brands are right in the middle of it. And it's not just our industry or Bud Light. It's happening.
He's correct. He's just talking about Target. He's talking about North Face, Nike, and so on. A lot of these companies have to basically, for lack of better words, bend over and do what's being told to them. Right here, just real quick. I remember seeing a video of, I believe his name is Larry Fink. He's the CEO of BlackRock, which is an investment management firm. And he basically stated this.
You now make a point of that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year, and what we are doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted, okay?
We're doing the same thing.
And so it's just, you have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen more opportunities. And we're going to have to force change.
Force. That's what it's about. They basically are saying that a lot of these companies, you have to abide by these rules. We don't care what the customer's saying. I don't care what you guys think or what you want, what you like, how you want it to be marketed to you. We don't care. We have an agenda. You have to go ahead and abide by the rules and regulations of our agenda that we lay out and damn the public. That's what they're saying. I mean, this is basically, it's pretty much like war. Granted, it's not war with guns, but this is basically war monetarily, economic war. That's what we're in right now.
Happening in retail, it's happening in fast food. And so for us, what we need to deeply understand and appreciate is the consumer and what they want, what they care about, and what they expect from big brands.
So this is a part of why you're getting it from all sides, because I asked you, would you do it again? And people on the trans rights side of things, supporting that community, want you to say, yes, of course, we want that fortitude. And people on the right would criticize you for saying yes. So where are you on the issue? I mean, was this a mistake?
Bud Light has supported LGBTQ since 1998. So that's 25 years.
Yeah, notice. So they've been supporting LGBTQ issues since 1998, but it was no issue until now. Why? Because no one's bothered by a rainbow can or something like that. But when you put the face out there and you're forcing us, and also on top of that, what's going on in the schools, what's going on with the kids and so forth, is getting too close to the front door, basically. That's what's happening. And Bud Light is one of those companies that's not accepting, their fault. They're not accepting how the wind is turning in a certain direction. They just know that they can't do anything. That's what the CEO is basically saying. He's not answering the question and apologizing or saying what they can do to make things better. He just basically saying that this is what it is. Throw the darts at me and we'll figure this thing out. But we have to go this route.
And as we've said from the beginning, we'll continue to support the communities and organizations that we've supported for decades. Mm-hmm. But as we move forward, we want to focus on what we do best, which is brewing great beer for everyone, listening to our consumers, being humble and listening to them, making sure that we do right by our employees, take care and support our partners, and ultimately make an impact in the communities that we serve.
So you did point out that Anheuser-Busch has in the past supported the queer community. In fact, you had these cans in 2019 that were rainbow bottles that were sold.
Yeah, I remember seeing these cans. Actually, they look pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, the red, the yellow, green, the blue, purple. They actually look like cool cans. They look like a bag of Skittles. I'm not a Bud Light drinker, but just looking at the can, is appeasing to the eye. And that was not an issue. And it says right there at the top, partnership with Glad. A lot of people's going to be like, who's Glad? We don't care. We just like the fact that, we like to drink and the bottle looks very appeasing. That's it. But when you put a picture of a man and woman face, come on. People get offended by that.
in stores
remember
all
that,
across the
yeah.
country. But the political arm of Anheuser-Busch has donated to anti-LGBTQ plus politicians. So where do you stand and where does the company stand on queer rights?
You know, we support politicians that support our business. And when we say that, we talk about things like things that work for the industry, allow us to grow the business, allow us to employ more people, and really help drive the economy.
You said at one point I heard you say, we're listening, we hear you. What did you hear, and how has it affected your employees? I'm curious about how they're feeling and how they're dealing with all of this.
Our employees, we have 65,000. If you look at the 18,000 Anheuser-Busch employees, and you look at the 47,000 Anheuser-Busch wholesaler employees, and they're full of pride and they're full of commitment. And so,
I don't know if they're full of the pride he thinks we're talking about, but yeah, I think what it is the employees are obviously affected because the bottom line is being affected. That's it. I don't think employees like a driver dropping some Bud Lights at a particular bar or a store and people are booing him or saying some words. They're affected. Like, they don't give a damn. You face more adversary in traffic. But that's pretty much it with this interview. He don't say nothing much pretty much after this. Just pretty much typical politician type talk as a CEO, not really answering a question directly. But what it shows is that these companies, just like Bud Light, because Bud Light is the best example right now, that these companies do not care about the consumer at large. They have an agenda they have to abide by, and they're going to go by it, just like what the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, has stated. They want this to be the way of the norm. They want this to be the norm. And if they have to do it by force, they'll apparently, as you can see with Bud Light and Target, they'll do it by force. But let me know. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, do you believe that Bud Light is going to actually make a change and actually meet the needs of the customers that support them all throughout these years? Or they're just going to stick to the agenda and appease the LGBTQ community and whatever their wants and needs and desires are? I think it's going to be the latter, but you let me know.